Last year, as you know, World of Wisdoms Project, in collaboration with the Fort Collins Interfaith Council, began a series initially focusing on the implications of the pandemic and the potential the initial shutdown had for us to become aware of the many inequities in our society in so many of the basic areas of life. The ongoing social unrest that unfolded in the summer precipitated a virtual intensive series for 4 town hall sessions to reflect even more clearly on the issues in our community. Well over 700 community members attended those intensives. During those sessions, we put the spotlight on the sometimes hidden inequalities experienced by BIPOC community members, even here in Northern Colorado. We traced the historical sense of white superiority that was embedded in our founding history and acknowledged its existence even to the present. We attempted to begin to form allyship bonds with BIPOC and other groups working for justice. That work continues even to the present, but that work is far from completion. This video blog series is an effort to determine if we are any more just, any more equitable, any more compassionate in the fall of 2021 than we were in 2020. We decided to begin our journey by interviewing members of the Northern Colorado faith communities. Today, I would like to introduce you to Nina Rubin, who is a retired social worker. Nina, can you tell us a bit about your background and what's kept you busy here in Fort Collins?
Well, I came to Fort Collins 42 years ago for 1 year. It's been a very long year. Fort Collins is a hard place to leave. I originally came to complete a degree and then ended up completing a master's and having a career and raising my children here. So I had a career in social work. My career was split half between having a private practice and half doing nighttime social work, chaplaincy work at the hospital, which I love doing. All the miracles happened at night. But after 8 months of pandemic, I decided it was time to retire.
So you've been retired how long?
A year this week.
Are you enjoying it?
I am. In the pandemic, I also remodeled 2 houses, sold one, lived in them while we were remodeling them. So downsized, got rid of half my stuff. It was a very busy year. And then last spring, we started our commitment, which has been a big project, dealing with equity and justice in our community, working to make Fort Collins a choice city for all. And during the pandemic, my partner Hillel and I were also the rabbinic team in Crested Butte, and we also retired from that this fall. So
you have been busy.
Yes.
the last year and a half have been unique and unsettling and possibly tragic year for many, including many in our community. How has it been for you? Are you able to say any quick phrases that capture your historical moment of the last year and a half?
It's been very interesting, and I prefer to focus on the things good that came out of it. In a lot of ways, my original plan when I retired was to travel and teach, and I had a full year's worth of commitments set up, which of course all canceled. So ended up doing a lot of online teaching, and actually ended up doing online teaching about the spiritual impact of the pandemic and how to spiritually care for yourself during a pandemic. The other piece of my life is I am in charge of the Northern Colorado Jewish Burial Committee. So we take care of all deaths in the community, and I'm also an international death educator in the Jewish community. So a lot of teaching and a lot of shifting in how we take care of people as last responders that changed during the pandemic. And a lot of it is worth keeping. In the Jewish community, we have to bury fairly quickly, usually within 1 or 2 days. And so oftentimes people aren't able to gather before a funeral. And then we have a whole series of mourning practices, which basically are about the community showing up to support the family. And what we found out this year is that people who would normally not be able to attend those events because they can't make travel arrangements in time were able to participate. And in both the local community and our community in Crested Butte, we had gatherings in up to 8 different time zones of family and friends who were able to come together and grieve together. So
you did all this on Zoom?
Yeah. And
wow.
I don't want to give that up, because what people were saying is how powerful it was to have all of their communities gather in a way that we normally wouldn't be able to. And people were able to share stories and support each other, literally from different continents. So I have to say, and nationally in the education that I'm doing, I think that remote aspect of Jewish funerals and through the first week of mourning probably aren't going to go back. I mean, I think people who can will still come to the house and the funeral, but I'm assuming that we will continue to find a way to welcome people who are far away and need to be part of the events.
That's really amazing. So there's a gift there.
Totally. I am not willing to give that up because of the power of it was so moving.
Yeah.
And being that the Fort Collins Jewish community is 100% immigrants. I mean, we all came from somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so when we lose family members, it's often in faraway places. And even if we can get there, we can't grieve with our home community. And this year we were able to join people wherever they were. So
that's fascinating to me. So that was a new insight that you had and a new way of being in the world, not just in the community. So you see this continuing in the future? This kind of thing.
I think one of my favorite stories from the pandemic, when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, one of the Jewish traditions is we don't leave people alone between death and burial. There's always someone there to accompany the soul on their journey. We had over 750 volunteers from across the country who each sat a virtual period of time with Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Wow. And since her funeral was actually delayed an entire week, 24 hours through that entire week, someone was sitting with her virtually. And it was very powerful because clearly her death was significant to so many people.
It was.
To be able to do that ritual for her moved a lot of people, and 750 of them actually volunteered and took shifts.
That's amazing.
It was amazing. And it was powerful, and people were really, really thankful to be part of that.
Oh, yeah. Because they wouldn't have been able to in any other way. That's true. Yeah.
No.
So what do you see about the efforts in Fort Collins? We talk about the inequalities of the pandemic in our own community. How have you experienced that?
Well, obviously we went virtual like everybody else. What was really impressive to me is that there were at least 4 separate collections for homeless gear, for Isaac, for immigrants, for period products, for the to make sure that menstrual products are available to everyone in the community, because those are things you can't buy with food stamps and things.
That's right.
And the latest was for collections for immigrants from Afghanistan. And that allows people to actually participate from a safe distance. And we created collection points and then trucked things to where they went. I think that's one thing that really helped people feel like there was something they could do. The other thing we did is our community has been on the ground floor of our commitment to self and society, to work with the community at large, to make sure that Fort Collins is moving forward. And we're really, really pleased with the progress we've made in that. And the corporate and business participation and nonprofit participation that we're starting to see is really exciting. And we are working in partnership with the Interfaith Council, who is our fiduciary, and they have put our committee on their executive board at this point. So,
wow, that's great.
And really decided that the best way to deal with equity issues in Fort Collins is not by ourselves. That if we continue to address these issues from our private silos, we're not going to solve any problems.
That's true. That's true.
Our particular choice in what we want to do for equity and inclusion is to actually join together as a community, rather than just through our singular faith community, because our sense is that's how it has to be. Because if we're not working with the whole community, then we're just reinforcing the silos that are part of the problem here.
Absolutely. So, do you have hope for the future?
I really do. And primarily because the initial outpouring of support for the project has been from the highest levels, from the biggest corporations, from the government, from the university, from the school districts, from what we're seeing is, while it was very exciting to have over 200 people respond and participate at some level, it was so much more exciting to see that people in positions of power are willing to come on board and make commitments and lead the city, because we're not really interested in leading the city. We're interested in being retired and seeing good things happen. None of us are looking for a full-time job.
There you go.
So
there you go.
It's very exciting that people are stepping up and challenging businesses, challenging other businesses, which ultimately I think is far more effective. And the one thing that our primary goal is that we are not looking for performative speech. It's not enough to stand up and publicly say racism is bad. You know, as the voter suppression things have been moving through the country, there have been corporations willing to say, we don't support voter suppression. But at the same time, we would rather know, how is your hiring going? How's your retention going? Are you mentoring different people? Are you hiring in a way and promoting in a way that is supportive of equity and inclusion? So we are not, you cannot get a seal of approval from our commitment unless you have measurable results to show. So you're
talking about the underside up. I mean, the system itself is what needs to be changed.
Yeah, and it's not enough to make a public statement. We're asking people to show us what you've done. So make a commitment, complete it. We'll celebrate you. We will celebrate you, and we will give you our seal of approval and tell people what a great business you are. I think a lot of exciting things have been happening here over the years. I've seen the business community doing exciting things, but there isn't really a place to celebrate it or even to report back. I know when Chief Svoboda first got to Fort Collins, in one of his early interviews, he was saying, there's no Spanish-speaking police officers, not even Spanish as a second language.
Wow.
That's not okay. And I was thrilled to hear him say that, but then there was no real opportunity for him to report back. Unless somebody actually asked the question. So the flip side of trying to get people to do a better job is giving people an opportunity to celebrate what they have done. And we do have people, businesses, and organizations in Fort Collins that have been working hard over the last few years. And most of them have upped their game in the last 2 years, because all of a sudden there's a recognition that we all need to address this.
Yeah.
And historically, when there's an issue, you know, if a synagogue is bombed, people come to the synagogue and they say, so we're so sorry. What is it we can do to help? Or if there's a Black person killed, they go to the Black church and they say, we're so sorry. What is it we need to do to fix this? And you can't keep asking the people who are the victims of these kinds of events how to fix it. You have to fix it. If you're in a position to change opinion and do something, you need to do it.
Absolutely.
So that's what we're hoping to see.
So you might give the name, the website address, perhaps, so people who might be interested in it. Well, just give the name. If they do a Google search, they can get
Our
it.
Commitment to Self and Society, and I believe it's ourcommitment.net.
Okay.
I am extremely dyslexic, and if I'm mistaken, I'm sorry. I should have come more prepared.
Well, they can email World Wisdoms Project, and we'll give it to them if they can't find it any other way. Nina, thank you.
Commitment.net, and
Okay.
from there you can get on the mailing list. And we've been in about a 1-month hiatus, actually almost 6 weeks, because half of us were in the middle of the season of Jewish holidays, and the other half of us went to Haiti to do boots on the ground and see what's happening there. So they've now returned, and we've now returned, and we're about to kick it into high gear here. So,
well, a lot of air traffic going on here today.
There is an air show at the Loveland Airport this weekend, and the Blue Angels have been practicing here all week.
So I hope this can hope people are able to hear it and understand. So Nina, thank you so much for this.
Thank you, Connie.
We look forward to what comes in the future, and we are grateful for your work.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.